You're listening to a CNA podcast.
Hi, it's Tiffany and Gerald back on the Work It podcast.
I think recently there's so much talk about workplace attire. Maybe it's the start of the year. People looking at their wardrobes, is it?
True.
Yeah. I remember one funny story. I remember having a colleague who makes it a point to never wear the same attire to office.
Huh?
Yeah, so she tells us proudly that I will never wear the same attire to office. You won't see me in the same attire twice.
Does she own the outfits? Because they have like rental outfits these days.
Yeah, she owns it. She makes effort to change her outfit every day. Her style is different every day. I'm very sure she has a very big wardrobe and a huge shopping budget.
Yeah, but I wonder where all the clothes go to after she's done with them.
I'm not sure as well. But I must say, she looks really good in every outfit, so she's got great taste.
Well, I work in the media and I have friends who work in the fashion industry as well. I do think that I'm quite forward-looking when it comes to fashion. But recently I've noticed people wearing crop top to the office. And that has caused me to raise my eyebrow a few times.
What is it exactly about that makes you raise your eyebrows?
So I'm not uncomfortable about the fashion sense. Like, you feel good about it, that's perfectly fine. But I think I'm uncomfortable about where you are dressed for the occasion. So it's not about what they're wearing, but it's where they're wearing it to.
Yeah, actually, I'm totally with you on this, Tiffany. I think it's good if our attire can help us to be comfortable, and maybe being more comfortable, we are more productive. But sometimes our comfort can become a discomfort to others.
Yes.
Right? And also even a discredit to ourselves.
True.
Which is why today we are here to talk about workplace attire and what's appropriate, or whether are we just becoming out of touch with the norms of workplace attire.
You and I, huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, same. So it's great that we have someone who's very familiar with this topic of workplace attire. So happy to have Yvonne with us here. She's an associate faculty with one of our local universities. And over the past 10 years, she has provided career guidance and valuable grooming and attire advice to fresh graduates from many universities in Singapore. So she has a lot of funny stories and experiences to share. So let's welcome Yvonne Kong-Ho. Hi, Yvonne.
Hi, Gerald. Hi, Tiffany. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. What was the most shocking outfit you have ever heard of or you have seen someone wear to the workplace?
So, all of us in the university, we adhere to very decent workplace codes and norms. Make sure the students are ready for the workplace. So, many years ago, I've had an industry partner who called me and then said that, would you like to talk to your student about what she's wearing at the workplace? I'm like, is everything okay? Yeah, so apparently, student was very decent.
Yes.
So student, wore a jacket or a blazer. But when she wanted to use the washroom, she took off her blazer. Then the whole company, the department said, so because there was a big hole at the back of her top. Yeah, nothing indecent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't show any, you know what I mean?
Yes,
no undergarments, nothing. But it was that hole in the
bare
middle.
back.
Yeah. At that point in time, I think bare bags were quite popular. But then industry partner called me and said, can you please talk to your student about it? So to her defense, I actually told the partner, but she did have a jacket on.
Yes.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask her not to take out the jacket even when she's walking to the washroom. She can take out the jacket when she's in the washroom.
Okay.
Would that be good? And the industry partner said, okay. But I
Yeah.
thought I have to give credit to that student, right?
Yeah, she tried to cover up.
Exactly.
I mean,
She
she
was
at least thought
conscious.
about, she's conscious about the fact that that could be a bit distracting.
Yeah.
But I think that's where outfits can be so polarizing because personally, I feel that there's nothing wrong with it. Like you say, this person has kept her jacket on the
Yes.
whole time, wasn't a distraction, and she was just hot for a second.
Yeah.
And I think it's a bit shocking that the industry partner would make it an issue unless it's something that they have consistently been noticing. And maybe there was feedback that was already given by her other colleagues. But then again, I said it's very polarizing because some other person might say, as long as it distracts your colleagues, it might not be a good thing. And then again, why is it distracting your colleague? Hello, colleagues.
Keep your eyes on the monitor and the
Exactly. Keep your eyes on the job. She's not the job.
Sometimes maybe it's just that people were just shocked. I mean, based on that story, right? People could be just shocked that they never expected you to be, so daring. So they may have maybe boxed us up in a certain way because of what we wear. And I don't know, maybe along that lines, would there be certain out of attire that we should avoid or we should wear more of so that people can maybe look at us with a certain sense of professionalism?
I think at the end of the day, it's really about what impression do you want to convey? Because like it or not, first impressions do count. And people do look at us and have certain preconceived notions about us because of what we wear or how we're wearing it. I do help a lot of friends who sometimes will come and tell me that, Yvonne, I've been in this role for 8-9 years and I'm not being taken very seriously. Or I can tell when somebody comes to me and thinks I'm still a xiao mei mei. In Chinese, it means I'm still very junior. I'm not junior, Yvonne. I've been promoted to a head of department. And sometimes after speaking, and they trusted me enough to look at their wardrobe or send me photos of what they wear. And then I'm like, I think I can understand why. Some people will think of them in a certain way.
Okay.
So to Jaro's question, I think it really depends on which industry you're in. Because some industries are a lot more open and a lot more like, oh, this is fine, this is fashion, celebrate your individuality.
Yeah.
But some will be like, oh, we have clients walking into the office all the time, or you are in a certain profession or industry where honestly, your clothing will have to denote some credibility, more credibility than the others. How would you feel if you're a doctor, or rather, you're a doctor and your patient sees you driving a sports car?
Okay.
Yeah, nothing wrong, right? Nothing, right? As opposed to a very serious-looking car. Would you think, wow, if my surgeon is into fast cars, my surgeon might not be as more detailed. It's a wrong...
Oh, so it's a perception. Even if it is a wrong perception, it is still a perception.
You're right. And that is like, oh, that's so unfair to the doctor, right?
Correct.
But some patients might, oh, okay, maybe I should choose someone else who seems more stable, more decent. But that's wrong. I think sometimes perceptions can be, like what you said, they can be so polarizing, they can be so deceiving. So I would tell some of my students, or even advise them as I work with them, if you're in, let's say, technology, or if you're in like a media agency kind of environment, it's actually very acceptable if you celebrate your individuality a little more with like maybe, let's say, brighter colors or funkier looking blazers.
Yeah.
I have seen, and it's so tastefully put together. Some people wear athleisure to the office.
Yeah. Explain athleisure for people who
it's
don't
like
know.
maybe sports leggings, and then sports top. But they pair it with a very nice blazer, and then they wear like decent looking sneakers.
Yeah.
Or sometimes they even wear like loafers. And when you see the whole look, it's like, wow, you're comfortable. And because when you're comfortable, you're usually more productive. And then at the same time, you are so ready to see any client who walks into your office. And I would say students of mine who actually dress this way, friends of mine who dress this way for their industry, technology, media, they tell me that they feel so like energetic.
Yeah. But then there's the other side of the spectrum. For some people, clothing is just not a thing for them, right? So they would turn up in maybe something that they feel most comfortable in. I've seen people who come into the office in, not our office per se, but other offices, sweatpants and slippers. Is that something that you would definitely advise your students against?
Definitely. You're in a workplace. So I always tell my students and my coaches, because you're in a workplace, we all respect one another. We respect the fact that we're going to bring the best version of ourselves to our workplace and give our very best work. And when you wear slippers and all, yes, it doesn't just depict that you may not be very conscientious at work. It may depict sloppiness, laziness. I think there are conventions to respect in every workplace, and there are some no-nos. It's not just slippers. There could be other pieces of accessories or clothing. They may not show forth the best versions of yourselves.
But there are some people who would say, because my shoes are uncomfortable, anyway, I'm just sitting there, so I just slip into my fluffy slippers. And what's wrong with that?
I have seen that before, and students have given me feedback, and maybe I will share what some of the industry partners have told me. So there's nothing wrong, right? Especially when you wear very high heels to work and then you change to something else. But sometimes industry partners tell me it's the whole package, and it's also the personal branding you're trying to denote. While they understand that some shoes are uncomfortable, but maybe you don't have to wear fluffy, with all due respect, Winnie the Pooh slippers, very comfortable, but people are like, this one, not very,
I see.
What does it brand you to be? Maybe you can wear flat shoes in the workplace. It doesn't have to be fluffy slippers. It can be flat, comfortable shoes when you're going to the restroom. I wanted to circle back to one of the examples that I gave earlier. When I first came out to work, I looked so young that people thought I was an intern. And then the way colleagues interacted with me, the way other stakeholders interacted with me, I felt that I wasn't being taken very seriously. Even when I tried to speak up, even when I tried to share my ideas, they would kind of cast you aside. And then 6 months later, I was like, okay, this cannot go on. So what I did was I went to perm my hair. And I went to change from my contacts to dark rimmed glasses. And then I used to wear like just sweatpants and then a blouse. Very comfortable. And I thought the colours made sense. I coordinated well, sweatpants, blouse, or a shirt with track shoes. And then I got the work done.
Yeah.
But it just didn't take the perception away that I seemed very junior, to the point that I looked like an intern. I started wearing more serious looking trousers, blouses, and low heels or even flats, but more serious looking. I probably look 10 years older. Now looking back at my own photos.
Yeah.
But it worked like a charm.
Okay.
When I spoke, you could see that people were taking me more seriously.
Yeah.
There was more respect. And then actually in that year, I had a promotion. Yeah.
I think the workplace attire, it doesn't just serve to help people to perceive us, but also it helps us to perceive ourselves as well. Because our attire is like an identity as well. Like what we wear, it actually reinforces the belief of what we do and why we do what we do. I mean, you think about it, right? Like in the military, you wear the uniforms.
Yeah.
You wear it with a sense of purpose, right? And although in the workplaces, we don't have private sector, we don't have conformed or defined attires or uniforms. But then what we choose to wear, we should try to remember it as like, how does this attire remind me to be professional, right? I think this is important because even for men, it's the same thing. We might be talking about ladies, right? When I was doing a leadership role, one of the first things I started to realize was how do I get people to take me seriously?
Okay.
Because I was a bit younger at that point of time. The first thing I did was a wardrobe change.
So you threw away all your polo tees.
At that point of time, I used to like very interesting shirts, like nice colors, and guys don't have much variation. So like maybe just interesting designs, little imprints. But I realized I cannot keep any of these anymore, and the colors cannot. So I observed what were the leaders in the organization wearing. I try to match similarly. So I start to fix now on some base colors, very formal base colors, very subtle imprints. And then after that, it was like a total change.
Okay.
The only thing that I did to maintain a little bit of individuality, to remind myself I'm still me, was my socks.
No, actually, that's a very good idea. Yeah.
So I would choose to buy colorful, strange socks. And then the staff would notice. And then during Christmas, right, they all gave me very funky looking socks. We realized that, you really have very interesting looking socks.
It's good that you brought up that point because there would be a segment of people listening to this saying that, yeah, but then I feel that I'm changing for somebody else and I'm not changing for myself. I mean, you can put on clothes that make you feel very confident, make you be more vocal and feel that you have more say at the discussion table. But some people really just feel that this is not something that I'm comfortable with. But I think, what Gerald says is true, which is you can still retain a little bit of your identity.
Yeah. I think when you are going to leadership roles, it's also important that you are there to do a job to help others. So you can imagine that if today you dress in a certain way that doesn't inspire confidence, and then your staff go like, you're going to the meeting room, you're going to the board meeting, or you're going to this department meeting that you're supposed to fight for us or rather speak out on our behalf, and you're like dressed like that, right? So I used to have this blazer on my chair, and then every time I put on the blazer, right, then the staff kind of know that it's wartime. I'm going to fight some battles.
Already. He's serious. He means business. Let's pray for him.
On the topic of blazers, right? So I worked with many ladies, female students last time. So they look so young that when they go for interviews, a lot of them have met failures. And I used to work with them, the answers were good, the way they carried themselves were good. Then I realized when I met up with the industry partners to gain some feedback, so sometimes some of them would say, sometimes your students look so young that I feel like I'm hiring my own daughter. Or they look so young that they look like they're in secondary school. I don't know whether they can do the job.
Okay.
It's always that fear. So I had to get my female students to look more credible and look older, open inverted commas, so that they can inspire confidence, right, through blazers. And I want to stress upon the point, dressing well, dressing to inspire confidence and credibility doesn't need to cost a lot of money. So I work with my students, and then we used to identify good blazers for them. And whenever there's a sale, I'll message them, sale is here, and it really helped. So I worked with this student. She looked really young, and with permission, I'm sharing this. So every interview, she just wouldn't get through. And then I advised her, maybe you want to take off your glasses and then have a fringe, frame the face. Are you open to cutting a bob? Yeah, and then wear a blazer, because she really looked more like she's ready to work tomorrow. It worked like a charm. She started getting interview offers. I'm sure it's also because of what she can bring to the table for the organization.
Yes.
But I would like to think that her dressing was really the icing on the cake that helped her to clinch the role. And for my gentlemen, yes, you're right, Gerald. I'm so sorry. You all don't get a lot of choices. But I also realized that somehow the default things that men like to wear, young gentlemen like to wear, would be white shirt and pants. White shirts are very hard to maintain. They are pristine whiteness.
Yeah.
And then sometimes when they buy shirts that are not of excellent quality, they go yellow very quickly.
Yes, especially at some spots.
Exactly.
Like your armpits.
You are absolutely
I'm so sorry
right.
to say that.
And actually we can tell.
Yeah.
Or sometimes
or your neckline,
they're so thin. Yeah, you're right. That it's not just the neckline, because they're so thin and they're white. You start seeing other parts.
I see.
Translucent.
Translucent.
Yeah, and they can't see it because they just grab it out of their wardrobes and then they wear. So in a class of white shirts, And you can tell, okay, this one, the quality is quite good because very white. And you can even see the textured, material, the whiteness. So I've had to, sit down with some of the boys and say, actually, if you want, buy maybe 1 or 2 white shirts. I know you like white very much, but maybe it can be of a certain brand.
Yeah, and of certain quality
Exactly.
or like thread count or whatever they call it these days,
and you
right?
might need to hand wash it instead of throwing it into the laundry and it gets mixed or it gets a bit yellowish. Because little things do matter.
Yeah.
On the topic of socks as well. So I had students who told me they worked in certain industries, colourful socks were not allowed.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. So they had to wear
They must wear colourful underwear already,
And then they were also told by their bosses, right? Okay, the socks must be high enough to cover every bit of their legs.
I see.
Yeah, so it's
Okay.
like when they sit down for meetings, they cannot see bare skin. But I really want to stress, we don't need to spend on branded clothes per se.
Yeah.
Some things can be of quality, yet we don't have to spend like humongous amounts of money for it.
I'm glad that you brought up the idea that it doesn't have to be too expensive to do that.
If I could end this podcast with all of you with just one final piece of, I would say, a tip for people who want to celebrate their individuality without sacrificing themselves, I think it's important to identify something. Different businesses have what we call a hero product, right?
Okay.
But I think every single person, we have a hero, like maybe accessory, or we want to be known for a style. Yeah. So for example, I have students who say, I really love, for example, cuffs. Like cuffs on my arm. I say, yes, great. Then choose that one and see how you can accessorize that with various outfits.
Okay.
Or some students, they're like, I really like this color. Great. Then go and find this color, a jacket, a top, a belt, shoes, socks, and use that to celebrate your individuality. Miss Yvonne, I love earrings. Yeah, but I was telling some of them that you do not have to wear 10 earrings on 1 year, maybe max 2, 3, depending on the style. And people who know me will know that I love capes. Yeah, so that's
She's
like
wearing a little cape right now.
Yeah, and it's
Very superhero-like.
Exactly. I love that. Also because in Singapore's weather,
Yeah.
capes gives me that formality, yet it keeps me cool. And it's something that some of my students adopted. Oh yeah, Miss Yvonne, you're right. And for some of them, they use capes, they use blazers. For the gentlemen, there is this like tie that they'll tell me they keep wearing. Like, I want to look younger, but I want to look formal, so they wear skinny ties. And that is acceptable for their industry.
Yeah.
I really believe that we can still be who we are professionally, formally, without sacrificing what we want to bring to the table and what we want others to see of us. We don't want to be misunderstood simply because of our dressing.
And if all else fails, just look around the office. If you don't know what's acceptable, just see what other people are wearing and then go, okay, let me try and mimic that style and then see if it suits you. If it doesn't, of course, then you can look for another style in the office.
Yeah, or just buy colourful underwear.
Okay. Thank you so much, Gerald. Thank you. Well, thanks so much, Yvonne, for coming in.
Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you,
Thank you.
Gerald.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Hello there, it's our Ask Me Anything segment where Jared and I will answer a work-related question that you have sent. So do continue to send us these questions. Let's dive straight into today's one. Our listener Gregory wrote in saying, and I'll read, I suspect my colleague is thinking of quitting. This will impact my work because I'll have to do his job while the company finds his replacement. I want to be mentally prepared for this. So what are the signs that this colleague is going to do it? Gerald, what are the signs?
Wow, I think judging by a lot of coffee conversations or lunch breaks, right? Don't everybody want to quit? Everybody just says, I'm so stressed, I want to quit. But I tell you, the people who complain the most often stay the longest.
Oh yes, I know a particular person. Yes, I have that face in my mind right now.
Yeah, so I don't know, Tiffany, from your experience, what are some of the signs that someone will be quitting soon?
Maybe somebody who is constantly missing in action, MIA, especially with work from home right now. If you're trying to like ping them or asking them like, oh, can you, give me some answers, and then they're just missing.
Where did
then
they go?
I don't know. Then you start thinking to
Went for
yourself,
interviews.
did they go for interviews? Exactly. Are they like on an interview right now? Could be also like just the mood in general. It's almost like they're just slogging and they are just dragging their bodies to work. They're not excited. They're not coming up with ideas at meetings.
Very
Very
disengaged.
disengaged. I think in general, for me, I would see it as like, are they consistent with previous behavior? So if they are always engaging, they are at meetings, giving out their ideas, and then all of a sudden it's like they fall off the cliff, then I would say that's when you can kind of see that maybe there's a shift.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be many factors. Could be something happened at home or whatever, but likely so, I think they might be feeling a bit burnt out,
Yeah.
maybe thinking of a new job.
It's possible. I mean, the point point here that I'm picking up from you is the change in behavior. It can be worse behavior. It can also be better behavior. Have you seen those who are very happy?
Because they
suddenly
ORD
they become
mode.
very happy. Then they ORD mode,
Because
right?
they know that they are going to leave.
They can see the light at the end of the tunnel. That's why then they feel
I see.
I'm going to tender very soon. Then they look very happy.
Yeah.
So when you see colleagues like that, you might wonder like, is it find new girlfriend or is a baby's being born or
The baby
find a
born,
job?
you will know, right? Yeah.
Oh yeah, because you have to take leave, right?
Yeah.
One of the things I've noticed is how people also use LinkedIn. The activity on LinkedIn actually signals a little bit about whether are they looking for a job or not. So for example, if they're posting more content, if they are sharing content, if they are engaging with people on LinkedIn, if they change their headline to open to work, for example, then that's where you know, how come you open to work? Huh?
I don't know why people do that, but I guess you already feel that like it's fine. Anyway, I don't care if my boss sees it. I'm open to work.
So that's definitely one of the other ways that you might be wondering, why did your colleagues start to do that, right? Of course, we talked about sudden changes of mood.
Yeah.
It can be positive, negative, and the sudden urgent leave.
Oh, okay.
I suddenly have to take urgent leave.
Yeah.
Like, why?
Yeah.
Because some personal matters to attend to.
I see.
So besides thinking about like when is my colleague going to quit, I think look at this as an opportunity as well for you.
I
know
agree.
you have to do your job, do your colleague's job as well. It sounds like double work. Maybe look at it as, is there a possibility to increase your pay because you're taking on bigger job scope? Have a conversation with your boss to merge the roles if possible, because that has been done before. Especially if you feel that the job and the work itself is doable and very complementing to what you do, maybe you could be helping your boss as well.
Yeah. And have a chat with this colleague if you're close enough. Maybe you can find out if they're unhappy. Maybe they are thinking of job hunting. They haven't really started, but essentially they're unhappy first. Then, Gregory could perhaps even be the sounding board and helping this person, and helps Gregory as well, because Gregory then kind of knows the timeline.
Yeah.
Gregory, like you say, can make future plans.
Yeah. Tell your colleague, right? Let me know.
Let me know.
So that I can also tender. No, I'm kidding.
At the same time. Well, if like Gregory, you have a work-related question, do write into us. We are at cnapodcasts@mediacorp.com.sg. We're also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube, where a video version of this is at. The team behind the Work It podcast is Crispina Robert, Joanne Chan, Junaidi Johari, and Saye Wind. Sound mixing is by Carrie Lim, video by Reza Rahman and Hanida Amin.
I'm Gerald.
And I'm Tiffany. Here's wishing you the best work week ahead.